Hello ho-ha and welcome back. It is I, Carolina J, and today I have got my January reads and Cooper's back. Come here. Oh, Cooper's been to the groomers. Oh, why are you here again? He's after oh, we're boring you. I'm sorry. Oh, you need more cuddles again. I'm busy trying to work. Okay, well, we'll have Cooper for a moment, but he's really heavy. I have January's reads with me today. I managed to read all three. I'm super chuffed. I was cutting it very close to the mark, but I did have 2 days off at the end, and I did consider reading something short, but I decided not to. I did read Alfred Lord Tennyson's The Charge of the Light Brigade to the children the other day while we were talking about the Crimean War. So I have read that as well. You are so heavy. You don't look heavy, but you are really heavy. Oh, God, so cute. I know. Right, okay. All right, we'll just leave him here for a moment. So, fur everywhere now. The first one on the list today is Death by Chocolate by Sophie Jackson. I really enjoyed this book. It is a true story of a serial poisoner in Victorian Brighton in England, and I would say the book was very well researched. Does she put her research in the back? Yes, she adds all of the notes into the back where she's researched everything, which is lovely. So if you wanted to do more further reading on the case and anything that she mentions in here, I really need to learn how to do that, then you can. So that's really helpful. One of the things that I found really interesting about it is a true case, which is always good, but how the court system viewed patients with mental health disorders at the time. And I feel Sophie went into that quite well and allowed us to peek back in time of what would have been normal and what wouldn't. Whereas obviously we have a different sort of system now, and we're much more understanding about how mental health can affect us in the moments of a crime, or if a crime is committed due to. I'm going to have to put the book down. I'm going to have to put the puppy down because he is really heavy. I'll try and hold him for a minute. How mental health can affect a crime, and how we have different prison systems to keep people with mental health disorders that have then committed heinous crimes. I found the whole book very interesting. It's basically about this person who decides to go around poisoning people, and unfortunately somebody did get killed. A child got killed because of what she did and the way that she did it. So I won't tell you any more because I don't want to spoil the book. I don't really know how to do this. I haven't figured it out yet. In the review, so you need to let me know, would you prefer me to tell you what actually happens in the book but say that there are spoilers, or to not tell you what's going to happen in the book but try to kind of skirt around the issue like I do? If you want me to change it, let me know, if you're happy with how I'm doing it already. That would be really helpful information. I would say I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. I thought for a non-fiction work, it was written very well. It took quite a while to read because it was quite technical. In following the court cases, you're trying to understand everything that's going on. She tells you lots of things that happened in Victorian Britain at the time, so you can have a good idea of what's going on, where we are in that time of society, and how women would be reflected, what they would do, and how family matters had happened, different incidents that happened which then affected how the family worked as a unit, that kind of thing. And there's also photographs inside as well, which I really like. I really like it when they put images and photographs from the time. There are even maps included which allow you to see where they were situated at that time as well. So yeah, I would definitely give the book a 5 out of 5. I would have picked it up if I had the choice. My neighbour found me this one. I really liked the cover and the design. It's not too long of a book, but it is a difficult read, so it's quite small writing as well, quite fine, so it is deceptively long, I suppose, in that respect. I do like the double spacing. I've read quite a few actually that are now double spaced. It seems to be something newer for me. I seem to remember any book that I read all single spaced and a bit harder, so I'm enjoying the double spacing. I think with all my cognition issues, it's actually helping me a lot with these. Yeah, Sydney Barker is the child that died from strychnine poisoning, and they were inside chocolates, which is really horrific. So yes, definitely a 5 from me out of 5. Very good. Yeah, I'd be interested to read some more by Sophie. I think she's written some more non-fiction as well as fiction, so but I found it very well researched and entertaining as well, shall we say. That was the Ben Reads Good Scranuary challenge, so and it needed to have the name of a food in the title, so I went with Death by Chocolate, which I thought was quite interesting. Next up on the list is the Cambridge Library book club, and this one was Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. Apparently people don't know how to pronounce it. I pronounce it Catabasis. I'd be very interested to know what everybody else says. I did not hear it pronounced once, Catabasis, in the book club read. I heard it pronounced many other ways. I can't remember what any of those other ways are, but there were other ways apparently. I pronounce it like this. I love the cover. I loved the whole book. Well, the look of the book and the feel of the book. I thought it was really good. Again, it was in double spacing and quite nice sized print. Again, I think it's helping my cognition when I'm reading. I'm finding it much easier. Yet to see what happens when I read something finer. One of the things that I did like I said, was the cover, and it made me think of MC Escher. So from the art perspective, I thought that was very interesting. And I actually have my MC Escher book. So what you have to remember with MC Escher's graphic works is, at the time there were no computers. Everything is drawn by a ruler and a pencil or a pen, and it's all done mathematically. So he must have been a genius at mathematics for a start. So if I pop this one on here, that will be the image that it's based from. He used to use these upside down stairs and the right way round stairs, and then how they twist and they turn, and it's just mesmerizing. There's a couple more pieces. I'll see if I can pop it on here, and if it doesn't work like this, I'll then. So there's this one. I absolutely love this one. This ant walking around this figure of 8 lattice, except if you keep looking at it, it doesn't work because the ant is always the right way round. I love it. This is one of my favourites as well, where I might have to put this one up because I don't think it's going to work properly. This little crocodile comes out of a 2-dimensional drawing, and it starts to become 3-dimensional, and then it walks all the way across the books. Could even be a little dragon, because it has this little puff of smoke towards the end, and then it climbs back into the drawing and becomes a 2-dimensional figure again, and it just messes with your mind. So I really loved that I always call him MC Escher is mentioned in this book, and is obviously inspirational for the cover. So on to the actual book itself. I'm going to give this one a 4. I was debating 3.5 or a 4. I think I'm going to give it a 4. The reason I've done that is because R.F. Kuang has researched this a lot again. So although this is a fictional work about somebody going into hell, and their idea of hell is different to... So, I mean, I've always been brought up with the idea that there is a heaven and there is a hell, and if you're a good person, you go to heaven. If you're a bad person, you go to hell. And sometimes souls are lost and they're left in limbo. So that's sort of my understanding of how the afterlife may or may not work. In this version of hell, everybody goes to hell and is basically sorted to where they need to go. So it's quite a different system. And this girl heads off to hell to go and rescue somebody that has accidentally been killed. And I'm not going to sort of expand on that because, again, it would be giving away more of the actual story. And the idea is really interesting. And along the way, Kuang explains about all of these other people who have visited hell, like Dante's and Socrates and a whole bunch of other famous people who I can't remember, and explains what their versions were, how they interpreted hell, and they must have visited it because maybe they'd got it correct or maybe they saw it differently. And then obviously they had come out of the other side as well, and so they have gone in and come back out. So I thought that whole concept was really... I'm trying to think of a different word than interesting, because I seem to use that a lot, but it's going to be interesting for now because my brain's still not working. It's definitely an interesting concept for me of how it all worked. And then I really liked, there was this one part where she adds in why there are no modern accounts of what hell is like. And she adds this in, and I think it's a very plausible reason for why there are no newcomers to this argument. However, I think the book club felt that wasn't quite the case. That I don't think they liked that side to it. I did. I thought that was quite clever how she'd managed to come up with this different way of why there'd be no modern accounts, rather than just brushing over it and ignoring the fact that there are no newer accounts. So I thought it was a really clever book, very well researched again, and the letdown for me was there's a secondary character, Peter, and I felt like he needed more. He needed to be in the book a lot more than what he was. And also there was very minor explicit content, and as we know from my previous reviews, I don't do explicit content, and I did not feel that the content that was put in here was in there for any other reason than to go, oh look, I've put some explicit content in for those that like it. It served no purpose to me whatsoever that it was in there, and it didn't need to be there. And I nearly didn't finish the book purely because I thought, no, the book is going to be filled with this type of content. So thankfully it was only in a couple of small cases. It didn't need to be in there anyway. I'm just going to have some tea, which is going cold already. So if I think a lot of people didn't enjoy it as well, which I was quite surprised about. I did. I thought it was really clever. I've never read anything like this one before. So, and I'm actually interested in the reading that Kuang did. So, like Dante's Inferno and a whole bunch of the other things, the other books. So I might have a look at some of those in the future because I've never read any of them. Is there anything that stood out other than those? No, I don't think so. I just thought it was very clever. I love the way that Escher was involved in the book as well, as I've already mentioned, especially as this is a arts channel. So we get to talk about art, and we get to talk about music, and we get to talk about books as well, rather than just books on their own. So for me, 4 out of 5. The last book that I read was on my own challenge, which was a book picked by somebody else. This one was picked up by my neighbour. He has a very eclectic assortment of books, reads all sorts of different things, a lot of highbrow books. I was a bit concerned that I wouldn't be able to tackle this one for 2 reasons. I thought it might be a bit too complicated for my brain as it stands at the moment, and also the content involved, being that it's to do with the Second World War and a spy. I didn't know if I would be able to tolerate it. Which also brings me to the current read for today, which is Schindler's List. No, which is Schindler's Ark. I have actually finished it already. But I'm going to leave that one on there because it was, well, I can't tell you. You'll have to wait until next video. I have finished it already, but I've only just started reading the next one. I managed to read it in 4 days, which I was really shocked about. So, The Spy Who Loved by Claire Mully. So, the Mail on Sunday reviewed this as engrossing, as thrilling as any fiction. And I can tell you, it was as good as any fiction. I was expecting it to be a very, as I used previously in the previous video, the word clunky. I think it's a challenge when you are citing factual information and you're trying to put it into a book. And the way that Claire does this book, it's really amazing. It really feels like you're reading a fictional book. The content feels fictional when you know it's fact. It's quite absurd, really. And it's got citations in all over the place. It also has citations at the bottom. I don't know if you can see, so there are extra little quirks at the bottom. I did read all of them. However, I didn't read the other ones, so as you're going along, there's also the little points that you can get to. And this is, this whole section here is just the research. It is phenomenal. Look at all of that. And they're all cited, and it's all in, so if I go on to here, you've got chapter 3 and then lays it all out really neatly. So for somebody who is much more studious than I and really wants to understand where all of the resources came from, for all of the quotations that were used and cleverly placed to make it sound like it's a conversation rather than this factual event happened here, here and here. You can actually go into doing all of that further reading very easily with this book. Absolutely fabulous. Definitely a 5 out of 5. I don't know why this is a book that I've not heard of before. I would definitely reread this because it's so interesting. She's just a crazy, outrageous, daring, wonderful human being who during the Second World War was a spy who at one point skied over the mountains. It took 3 days to ski over the mountains to get back into Poland when it was occupied. And there's just so many more outrageous things that this lady did. It deserves to be a movie. I don't know why this has not been heard of much more. I thoroughly recommend, if anybody is interested in World War II and the resistance movements and how things worked, I would definitely recommend reading it. Also, there are images inside. They're not on glossy pages, unfortunately. I do like a glossy image when I'm reading, but there's 2 points where you have images. So it's really nice. Again, I do like that about a non-fiction book where you get to actually see all of the different images, and you can see who all of the different people are. So overall, I think this month was really good. I read 3 very interesting books, 2 5 out of 5s and 1 4 out of 5. I only just managed to fit them all in because they were the Spy Who Loved, I think, took me 2 weeks, and I think Death by Chocolate took me a good week as well. Catabasis was, and it was tricky because there was a lot of confusing magical terms and going back into Socrates and Dante's and, you know, other famous people. And I'm not going to say that I understood them again. I understood a decent amount of each one to take them on board, but some of them did go over my head. That's my cognition issues that I'm still trying to recover from. So that's going to be an ongoing problem, especially with these more technical books. Lastly, a new segment which I've decided to add in. I have purchased 2 new books this month, so I'm going to add those in here as well. The first one, Hell Riders by Terry Brighton, and it's the truth about the Charge of the Light Brigade, which is why I then read the Charge of the Light Brigade poem. Alfred Lord Tennyson is my favourite poet, and I just love that poem, how moving it is and how you feel so abhorred about what these men are now going to have to do. Anyway, this is a huge book. It should have cost £20 according to the jacket. No, according to the jacket, £20. I paid 50p. It was in our local shop for the charity, so I'm really chuffed. And again, it's got photographs inside. Let's have a look. It's got photographs. It's a huge book. I don't know when I'm going to read it, but I will be determined that this will go on one of the lists at some point in the future. Yes, I'm looking forward to reading that once all of these lot are done. Can't read it until all of those are done. And secondly, another 50p bargain is The Forgotten Soldier. This one I've actually purchased for my son. He's very interested in different aspects of war in a healthy way. I think potentially he could end up being a war historian. He's very interested in lots of different things. And this is a perspective, quite another really thick book. This is a perspective of a German soldier against the Russians, so it's from what I'm used to reading, it's definitely an unusual perspective, which is why I picked it up. And apparently the greatest true story of armed combat ever written, by Guy Sager. So the devastating first-hand story of a young German soldier trapped in the lethal machinery of total war is probably the most powerful reading experience you will ever have. Well, from what I've read lately, it's got a lot to go against. So yeah. Anyway, I bought this one for my son. Again, it only cost me 50p, so it's definitely worth looking out for these kind of bargains. You can pick up really good books. You know, this one, it's pretty much brand new at 50p, so I'm really chuffed. So, conclusion is, I have managed to do this month's challenge. I am super chuffed with myself that I managed to do that. I know it's only 3 books, but they were complicated books, needed a lot of time and energy and brain power to read them. And I'm hoping that I can carry this on. However, I have noticed that I am crashing every day at the minute. And by crashing, for those that are not aware, I use the term crashing to define how my physical and my mental body are doing. And at the moment, I keep falling asleep as soon as I sit down. I can be in the middle of reading and I'll fall asleep while I'm reading, and I'm trying desperately to read a page and then I have to go back and reread it because it's just not going to work. I'm not able to function a lot around the house, so like trying to do housework or doing anything else. And I'm pretty much reading, trying to do the things I have to do for the children, and that's pretty much all I'm managing, which is quite bad at the moment. So if this continues, I may have to pause reading to see if it's the reading that's causing me the trouble, because it can be, and I don't want it to be, because I've been enjoying reading so much. In fact, those 2 days that I didn't read were like torture, because I just wanted to pick up the book and read. Schindler's Ark, I couldn't put down. Every time I put it down, I'd have to pick it back up again and read it. In fact, I think I read half of the book yesterday. I think I read half of it yesterday, just because every time I was at a point where I had to know what was going to happen. I had to know what was going to happen next, and then what was going to happen. So it's a really good book, but it could be affecting me mentally and physically. So we'll have to see how it goes and how we progress from here. But for now, I did my challenge. I'm very chuffed, and I will see you all soon again. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.